Thank you for listening to JC Radio Podcast, where we're fans of music, movies, shows, and all things entertainment. January 5th, 2019, Columbia, Missouri, and a music venue called The Blue Note is hosting the event Missouri Metal Festival. Headlining that festival is the death metal band Nevalra. They were formed in 2013 by frontman guitarist Scott Eames. By 2014, they developed into a full band with Sprock on their bass guitar. In 2015, they released their first EP called The Black Flame, running number 6 in MetalSucks.net top metal albums of 2015, amongst other bands like Lamb of God and August Burns Red. Nevalra is currently endorsed by BC Rich Guitars, EMG Pickups, SpectraFlex Cables, where Scott has his very own signature guitar cable, and Ernie Ball guitar strings. We had an opportunity to speak with Scott and Sprock at the Missouri Metal Festival held at the Blue Note in Columbia, Missouri. What's up, guys? We're here with Sprock and Scott from, now correct me if I get this wrong, Nevalra?
Yep, exactly.
Nevalra, okay. So first of all, where did that name come from?
The short version of that, it's kind of a cool story, is I used to have this recurring dream, and I would speak to this dark entity, and I would have like big picture discussions with this thing, you know, like religion and lifestyle, things of the sort. And after having this recurring dream for a while, it finally told me that it was called Nevalra, which was really weird. But I had already been writing material for a project that didn't have a name for a band, and it just dawned on me, I'm going to name it Nevalra. And then once that project turned into Nevalra, the recurring dream stopped. Oh. So it was kind of it's strange. It's one of those things, like it was trying to get out, and once it was, just a weird, I don't know. So that's where it came from. That's
pretty cool, man. How did you and Sprock end up together? And I don't know if Sprock wants to answer that question or not.
It started because I was playing in a band here in Columbia called Decadent Nation. I'd been playing in that band for a long time, and a time came when we needed a new guitar player. Our guitar player left, and at the time, I guess a friend of Scott's was a mutual friend of someone in my band, and someone, yada, yada, yada. Scott was informed about it, and he decided that even though it's not his typical genre that he plays, that he wanted to give playing in Decadent Nation a try. So we played in this rock band for a while. I got to know him real well. I liked his guitar playing style. I liked his stage style and the music that he was into. And so he ended up forming Nevalra on the side while we were in that band. But it ended up blossoming, I guess, and really turning into something. And he asked me I asked him if I could join in his band. So we played in both for a while, but now we're both just pursuing Nevalra with everything.
So just one thing led to another, and here you guys are today.
Yeah.
So
I know you all have a album coming out soon. Can you tell us anything about that, what we might see on it, or what, if people haven't listened to y'all, what they might be able to expect from that?
If you've ever seen us live, there are 3 tracks on the album that we are playing, that we have played live. They're just not recorded and online anywhere yet. So there's 3 tracks that we have played, but there's 7 tracks that nobody else has heard before if you're not in the band, or we've let a few very close, very, very close people listen to a few things. But yeah, there's seven tracks that have never been released before. So yeah, and Scott's got more on that.
Yeah, the album will be out in mid-2019, so we got time to kind of market it, set up some of the tours for it, for the tour release. And we just signed with M Theory Audio, and they're tied to some pretty big distribution, marketing teams, publicists, all that kind of stuff. So we're like, best case scenario is that we're in a very good timeline to succeed. So we got like a whole team of management behind us. We got another whole team of label that they've built. So like it's no longer just the band pushing it, which is awesome, because we've been killing ourselves for a bunch of years now, and now it's not just up to us. We have a whole team of people behind us. So
is there anything you can tell us about the upcoming tour for that? Are you playing in like a worldwide thing, or is it like more of a U.S. tour?
Yeah, it's worldwide stuff. It's going to be broke up into separate tours, obviously, because there's different booking agents and timelines and things. But so yeah, we're going to be support for some pretty big name bands soon. You know, like lots of the people that we've been meeting and hanging out with that we looked up to for years. You know, which is really cool because a lot of the guys that influenced us know us by name now, and it's pretty cool. So now we're going to actually get to go on tour with a lot of those guys and drop this record. And so we're pretty excited about that.
So who are some of your guys' influences for, I guess, just the band overall?
It's really hard to say. As an individual, there's like a lot of influences, like even out of the realm of metal, you know, like Steve Vai and stuff. That's one of the reasons I'm into the shredding style. You know, like I feel like the guitar solo has like started to diminish a little bit, you know, and I'm hoping that I can help bring that back, you know, with the Dimebag Darrell kind of stuff and you know, Old Death and things of the sort like that. It's hard to say for Nevalra. Lots of things, lots of black metal, death metal, melodic stuff, heavy stuff, and it's like a good mixture of everything. So it's good and bad in that it's hard to categorize. So when we're working with the publicists and the booking agents and stuff there, you know, our management has a little bit of difficulty being like, yeah, they'll fit with the Black Dahlia murder, but they'll also fit with Dark Funeral, and they'll also fit with Arch Enemy. You know, like we kind of fit with all of those things, which is a good thing for us. It's hard to describe. There's a wide range of influences. Yeah.
What about your playing style, Sprock? For bass playing, was that you know, the way you play is very energetic, we'll say. Did that just come naturally, or were you kind of also influenced by other bass players or even guitar players?
I'd say for the most part, the energetic style in which I play and for my live performance, I'd say that was mostly just came from within and not really no like artist in particular, no band in particular, just, you know, having just you know, seeing band, you know, just insert band here, someone, you know, whether guitar player, bass player, sees someone do something cool, and it inspires me to want to put on a good show like that live. So when it comes to jumping around and, you know, headbanging and, you know, just trying to be energetic, that's just come naturally, and it's just always been something I've striven for. I think that's a really big part of what I can bring to the table, because I'm like, you know, I'm not the best, most technical bass player, but I, you know, feel like I can make up for that with, you know, high energy live performance.
The fact that you're jumping 10 feet in the air.
No, I don't do none of that. I don't do none of that. But as far as playing, see, I could play with both my fingers and I could play with a pick.
Do you prefer your fingers or your pick when you play?
Well, see, for this band and for most of what I do, about 90% of what I do anymore, I use a pick. The reason I started using a pick was because of Justin Chancellor, the bass player for Tool, uses a pick, and I think that his bass tone is amazing, and Tool is one of my favorite bands. And I was like, man, that's how this guy's doing it. So I learned, that's how I just started playing with a pick once I found out that that's how he did it.
I got you.
And so ever since then, I've just pursued playing with a pick. I like the tone that I get out of it. You know, you get a good punch, but I still do some stuff with my fingers here and there, so I still know how to do it. I've surpassed playing with my fingers. I'm better with a pick now.
I got you.
Whereas it used to be, you know, the opposite.
So you have your rock pose, the I just saw the classic, you know, I don't know what that is. Is yours still just going to be eating in the back of the van, or have you improved it to something else?
It could be any random thing. I like, you know, it could be me eating, or it could be me looking stoned, even though I'm not stoned. Yeah. It's no, I mean, I don't have a signature thing or anything. I've got a couple things I try. You know, if I know the photo's getting taken, that's a big part of it too. That's a big.
You just have to be like, oh, here you go. So
that's a big part of it too.
You ever guys just try something new on stage? You know, just in the heat of the moment, and then be like, that did not go the way I thought. Maybe I won't do that again. So any funny stories about that?
Usually it works out. If I try something, usually it works out. I have the first couple times now that when I started growing my hair out and it's long enough to really try to spin it around. The first couple times you do that, oh man, I spun just a couple times around and I whipped my hair up and I thought I was gonna pass out. Like I've come really close about 3 or 4 times. Like I've seen that video pass around of that chick that did that for like 30 seconds and then she passed out. I'm like, I was almost that chick. So like I didn't laugh at that video because I'm like, I almost did that.
I know, Scott, you just got done doing a show with Die Antichrist in Mexico. How was that?
Oh man, that's indescribable. Like to get to play a festival with like Slayer and System of a Down, Alice in Chains, Stone Temple Pilots, like those are, people that are making millions doing what they love, so, and we have a long way to go, and it's awesome to get to like hang backstage with guys on that level, because they're 15, 20 years ahead of me, so, and it's just cool to get to finally be that guy that can walk through the security, and when you walk back there, it's like you're hanging with Anthrax, and you're hanging with, it's surreal.
Yeah.
And, it's, when it's happening, it's, quote, not a big deal, because everybody's used to doing it, but when you're breaking through, it's a big deal to you, but you can't fanboy like a lot of the people do. So,
and you got to hang out with Kerry King too, right?
Yeah.
Did you both get to, or?
No, that was.
I wasn't there for that.
You weren't there for that.
Yeah.
So did you? So I assume Kerry King's a big influence for you.
Yeah. It started with Metallica, like most everyone that's played guitar.
Yeah.
And
right.
and then it progressed into Megadeth because it was a little more technical.
Yeah.
And then once it got to Slayer, I was like, holy shit, because it was speed on top of technicality, and I didn't think you could outdo Slayer because I hadn't discovered death metal and black metal yet. You know?
Yeah.
So, but yeah, I would say Metallica, Megadeth, and then Slayer. Metallica and Slayer would be the 2 biggest influences when I was learning guitar, anyway. Because I never thought I was ever going to speed pick that fast. And when I first heard it, I was like, holy shit. So yeah, it's really cool to get, actually get to meet those guys, and they know me my first name now, and so I can like run into them. Like I ran into Gary Holt, and we were on the same flight from Mexico City to Houston, and as I walked past him on the flight, I wasn't going to be that guy. But he pointed at me, and he goes, hey, there's somebody I recognize, and he gave me a fist bump on the way by, and I was just like, that's insane. 2 years ago, he didn't know who the hell I was, so it means a lot to me.
So what's it like trying to manage being in 2 different bands? Because I know that's got to be kind of stressful, especially playing in different places.
Yeah, man, it's a lot of time management. When it comes to scheduling, I haven't had any conflicts so far because we have the same management, which is good. So we just like place tours between each other, and when it comes to time management, to be ready for both bands, is like if I have something big coming up for one band, I do 75% of that band and 25% just keeping up with the other. And then when it switches, then I switch that. So I really do put myself on a clock like I go to work. And I'll set a timer, and when that goes off, 4 hours of Nevalra, 4 hours of Antichrist, 2 hours of to be announced kind of stuff. Yeah.
So you guys released an EP a few years ago, correct?
Yep.
That was where was that recorded at?
2 different places. There was a place outside St. Louis that's actually closed shop since. We did the drums there. And then we tracked the rest of it in my home studio. We did the guitars, bass, vocals, all that kind of stuff. Yep.
And that's where is that where you write a lot of the music? It's just at your home studio, and
yeah. For a lot of years, I just did the rehearsal space thing where I would track something in a loop station, like the hard way.
Yeah.
And, I actually ask Adam like a lot of questions to get a lot of studio stuff set up. Because he's pretty tech savvy, and I pretty much when I get gear, I get it to do exactly what I need it to do, and then I move on to everything else. Like I don't know all the intricate things to certain gears, so I bother Adam a lot. So I have to give him a lot of credit too.
That's fine. What's up?
And but now that
kudos to you, Adam.
now that I have a home studio, like it's been a game changer. Like I'm not recording it in a loop station so I could go back to it and mess with something later. Like, I go straight over and record it, put it to a click track so I can remember what things are, and when I go back to it, I can slow it down, speed it up, so I can remember every little thing that I put into it, and I could build things, a lot more intricately, and so that's made it so much easier, and that's how we actually did this last album. We tracked the drums at Apollo Studios, which is here in Missouri, and Dan Swano, who's done, he's in Sweden, he mixed and mastered it, and he's done like Opeth and Dark Funeral, and so he's the one that mixed and mastered it. Yeah, Dissection.
Oh.
So he's a pretty big name in the industry. He's like the industry standard now for extreme metal. So, no, we were just excited to have him on board. Another one of those guys that I looked up to. And to get to work with him was pretty surreal as well.
So, how much of the writing process do you two, and how much do you do? I'm just so you know, I first pointed to Scott and then I pointed to Sprock. I forgot this wasn't filmed.
No, for Nevalra, I pretty much just try to write things far in advance because we stay moving so quickly that I have things written for 2 years down the line already kind of starting, and more or less I try to put things together in a very timely fashion. So when he shows up, I'm like, hey, here's what we're doing. And he goes and busts his ass, gets caught up, and then we're ready to go, So it makes it a lot quicker that way than people like. We've been in past bands where people butt heads and, can't get things to work right. And it's just simple. We move quick that way. And that way I can bounce ideas off management and people that are helping us market ourselves correctly as well. And they'll kind of help shape things a certain way that way.
So what instruments are you guys playing today? Of course, guitar and bass, but like what models and stuff?
I just recently got, for Nevalra, I've only been using BC Rich basses. For the last 3 years. Since I bought the first one, I'm sold, and I've got 2 of them. I just recently got new pickups installed in what I had been using as my backup bass, which is a BC Rich 5-string Warlock. It's all black, neck through. I just got some EMG X Series pickups installed into it, and so it sounds fucking awesome now. So now that I've actually got now that I've got a real good tone coming out of that bass, I'm using that as my primary bass tonight.
Awesome.
And my BC Rich 5-string Mockingbird is now my backup. They swap roles because I got new pickups in that Warlock, and it sounds awesome. I like how it plays. I think it looks more cool, so all those things.
Awesome. So you prefer the Warlock style over the Mockingbird style? Or does it just come down to like personal like playing?
There's a few different things. The Warlock, the different shape, it sets differently on you. You have to hold it differently. The Mockingbird has an extremely light body and a really heavy neck, so it has really bad neck dive.
Yeah.
And there's also, it doesn't have like the points that I could kind of, on my Warlock, I could kind of prop the points against the insides of my leg to kind of like do different things. It's Scott knows all about that. All the different shapes, they play differently. You could do different things. You have to play them differently. You look differently wearing them, playing them, and so I've just chosen the Warlock out of the 2.
I know when I play the Warlock, like I play it down here because it's more comfortable. But when I play like an Epiphone Les Paul, I gotta play it up here.
Yeah, it's just between all my basses, the strap is set differently on all of them. It's just whatever's comfortable for each particular instrument. Yeah, and Scott, you're using the Warlock, BC Rich Warlock as your primary tonight too, right? No, using the War Beast.
It's a combination of the Beast and the Warlock called the War Beast, and it's one of them that BC Rich sent fairly recently. They sent a couple guitars to me, and that one, it's black but it's trimmed in red, and EMG just sent over some red EMGs to put in it, and they pop really well. And last night was the first night that I've got to play that one on stage, and it was different. Because I'm used to playing the BC Rich Vs, and they hang real low, Hetfield style. And so on that one, I had to adjust the way I played a little bit, but it sounded awesome. So I'm going to start with that one tonight since it's the one I'm supposed to be pimping out on stage.
I know, Scott, you've already got a couple endorsements. Sprock, have you got any of those yet? Are you working on any endorsements with anybody? I'm just kind of anything with that?
I haven't pursued any as an individual musician. Scott has, correct me if I'm wrong, but some of them are actually in your name. Some of them are endorsements of the band itself. You know, so. So, so the one that I do have my name tied to is Dark Glass Electronics. They make some of the best bass gear. They're based out of Finland, and they've just the thing that sold me with them is you just look at their artist roster of all the artists that that endorse them and are endorsed by them. It's just they got just the biggest names on there, and more than any article or review could ever say for your product. If you got some of the best bass players out there, if they want to play your equipment, that's what sold me on it. So that one technically stays with Nevalra though. So if I were to no longer be in the band, it wouldn't follow me. But for the time being, that one's mine.
That's awesome. Awesome. Well, thank you guys so much for meeting with us. Good luck tonight. It's gonna be an awesome show. I haven't seen you guys live yet, but
oh no shit.
Yeah.
Cool.
Well, I mean, I jammed with you once in high school.
Oh, mother shit.
So as far as I remember, you're an awesome bass player.
Dude, yeah, man. That was 18-year-old me was not a good bass player. So.
Well, it was better than 14-year-old me.
Yeah. All right, man. But yeah, we're glad we could make this work.
Awesome. Well, thank you guys so much.
Yeah, absolutely appreciate it.
That was Nevalra of Columbia, Missouri. If you're interested in more of Nevalra, you can look them up on Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, and Twitter. And it's spelled Nevalra. Thank you for listening. This is JC Radio, signing out.